everybody, welcome to another episode of Fruitful Trees, and today we have some very fruitful trees we're going to be talking about on the show. Behind me is a mamey, and this is a variety called Viejo mamey. Now, I've made other videos on mameys and different varieties, but today we're going to go out to Tropical Acres Farms, and we're going to look at this tree, because this tree right here behind me and also over there is in season right now, and there's fruit on the tree. These are mameys. Most mameys are in season in the spring and the summer, but this is one of the only popular varieties that's in season right now every year in December and January. So Alex is going to explain this variety called Viejo, and I wanted to come here because I knew my neighbor had one as well, and he said he's picking some off this thing every couple of days, and he's getting mamey here now in the winter time. And I'm going to look at my trees and show you what I have. Now, on the video I did with Alex, I kept saying and mistakenly saying, oh, I had a Viejo also, I had a Viejo also. And I realized I was mistaken. I don't have a Viejo, I have a Lorito. And I'm going to talk about that one as well. But we're going to see Alex at Tropical Acres talking about the Viejo variety. And then we're going to come back and look at some of my varieties of mameys and talk about those. So here's Alex at Tropical Acres, and stay tuned for after that. We're going to come back and look at some of my neighbor's other trees and my tree, and we're going to talk about the different varieties and what variety you want. And I'm also going to put a link below this video to Laura Farms in Miami, and Julian has a bunch of different mameys there, and he's the person you want to contact when it comes to learning about mameys and knowing what grows and not. And I have a bunch of videos where I went there. If you look at my playlist for mamey, you can see all the videos I did down there and him explaining some of these different varieties. But this is the Viejo one, and we don't have one that's ripe at the moment, but we're going to go and look at Alex at Tropical Acres Farms right now talking about this Viejo, and come back and talk about the other varieties. So here we go. All right, everybody, here we are back at Tropical Acres Farms, and they don't just have amazing amount of mangoes and avocados and sapodillas, they also have mameys.
Yes.
So of all your mamey trees, one of them is actually in season now, right?
Yeah, so winter, we're in mid-January now, late January.
This is Alex, by the way. He is the owner here of Tropical Acres Farms. Okay, tell us about this.
Mameys are usually in the peak of their season during the warmest months of the year here in South Florida. But there's actually a few mameys that can fruit in winter when there's not so much mamey around. One of those is a variety called Tazumal that we don't grow because it kind of ripens unevenly. But another is this, it's called the Viejo. Viejo means old in Spanish, okay? And I think this variety might be from South Florida originally. I'm not 100% sure. If it is, it's probably from the Redland area. But it's one of the only mameys that normally has ripe fruit in this period between, let's say, November and February. I think the latest I've ever picked a ripe fruit off of this is like March. So it's not a very big fruit, the Viejo, compared to other cultivars of mamey. Viejo gets like the size of maybe a softball, not a softball, really like a tennis ball or a baseball, and that's about it. Other mameys can reach several pounds in size. Certainly almost all of them are larger than this variety. But the tree is not so aggressive compared to other mameys. Mameys can be very large, but this Viejo, I think we've had this in the ground since 2016 or something like that. I don't remember. But it's grown real slow, and it flowers at a young age compared to other mamey trees. A lot of mameys are not very precocious, and they can take 5+ years to flower and actually have a fruit from the time they've been grafted. So it's not like a mango where they fruit in like 2 years in a lot of cases from grafting. But these Viejos are usually kind of precocious compared to other mamey varieties, which is wonderful if you don't want to wait 5 years to get fruit from your mamey tree. So, but right now some of these are ready. I like to scratch the mameys in multiple spots. This one's coming right off, but you can see here it's kind of red underneath when I scratch it. So this guy is ready to pick for sure. Yep.
And
so
how long from when you pick it can you eat it? Will it be
Usually, like this one's actually starting to turn a little soft. So actually a couple days probably before this one. They usually almost always ripen in less than a week. If they take longer than that, they were probably picked too early. So, but I like to scratch them in more than one spot. Some people just scratch them in one space, and for a lot of mameys, that's fine. But certain kind of mameys, like magana, you need to scratch in multiple places and make sure that it's red all over. So I just do that with all of them instead. But a lot of these are getting close. However, if you scratch them, you see this one's still green, so it's not ready to harvest yet compared to this. So, but it should be ready soon. The other neat thing about Viejo is that most mameys, from the time they set a little fruit, don't have a mature fruit for like 18 to 24 months sometimes. These are a little quicker than that. From the time that they set their fruit, they have a mature fruit, actually a lot of times in about 12 months. So a lot faster in terms of the amount of time it takes for them to have a ripe fruit from the time they flowered and set the fruit. So I like that about Viejo too. So anyway, but because of the size of the tree and the fact that it fruits in winter when you can't find mamey over at the grocery store necessarily, I think it's a great backyard tree. Yeah, this has a nice red flesh.
So red inside.
Yeah, it does. I mean, like the problem is it comes in winter when the temperatures are cooler, and so that reduces the bricks a little bit. So it's not as sweet as like a Lorito or a Cepeda or one of those, but it's perfectly fine, and it's a mamey when you're not going to get mamey, you know, in December or January for the most part. So.
Have you cut this one back?
No, we haven't. We've taken budwood off of it because we sell a lot of budwood, including mamey budwood. But no, we haven't had to cut this tree back. It's grown pretty slowly. They're not too bad compared to some of the other mameys we grow, like our Pantene, our Pace, much more aggressive trees. So
how many mamey trees do you have here?
Close to 20 now, I think. We've added some in the last year that are still in pots that we need to plant. But we have a pretty impressive mamey collection, and as those trees get more mature and start to fruit more, we'll eventually do some videos on those too. So
now, the mamey trees, I know they grow different than mango trees, but how much space? Because it doesn't look like too much space between these. These
right.
are mango
so
trees
this mango here, this is an Angie, which is starting to flower actually. This is a temporary tree. So this tree's gonna come out maybe after its crop is off this year, because you can see it's growing into the mamey, and the mamey actually has fruit on some of the branches here that are in contact with the mango. Okay. So this mango is gonna come out of the ground, and I would prefer to give mameys, you know, at least 15 feet of space from another tree. If it's being pruned. If it's never pruned, they need more space than that. But this guy here is not so vigorous that we couldn't plant trees next to it. We did that with our other mameys too, but some of those trees have already come out of the ground. So the mangoes I'm talking about that were interplanted in the space. So
well, that's great. So for people to know, if you get one of these trees, at a certain point the leaves will fall off, right? That's not.
Yeah, it's real common in the lead up to spring. Mameys will drop their old leaves, and then people get scared and think their tree's dying. But really what they're doing is they're going to replace their leaves, and some will just drop every single leaf on the tree. Others will maintain some leaves when they flush that new growth and then drop the old ones. But it's not uncommon to see mameys that have, you know, lost all their leaves, you know, like other deciduous trees. So
sure. Now, how do you take care of this tree different than your mango trees? Do you water it more or less?
Yeah, okay. So mameys definitely require more nutritional care than mango trees do. So you don't think that you can just totally ignore them and expect them to thrive. Certainly, there are examples of mamey trees that nothing's done to them and they fruit every single year and seem to do fine. But I would say here in South Florida, they're a little more sensitive to the nutritional deficiencies that can occur in our soil than the mangoes are. And they definitely are heavier feeders. So we have to give them more for them to thrive compared to a mango tree. So we'll continue giving mameys nitrogen fertilizer when they're in fruit production. We don't do that with mangoes. So, other than that, they still require pruning, you know, to shape them and keep them from getting out of hand. And they do require more irrigation than mango trees do in order to be happy. If there's prolonged drought stress, you'll see it on the mamey way before you see it on the mango.
Now, is there any more diseases more common or less common?
Actually, mameys get less disease than mangoes do. They can still get common fungi like anthracnose. Actually, they can get anthracnose, but it's not ever as bad as it is with mangoes, and it doesn't attack the bloom. So we don't have to spray our mamey trees unless they get like a piercing sucking pest like scale or mealybugs, and then we want to get the sooty mold off of the leaves. Then we'll have to spray like a horticultural oil, but otherwise we don't have to use fungicides on them. That's one thing I love about mameys. I don't have to control disease on them for the most part, and that's great for a backyarder too, because most backyarders don't want to have to do that kind of spray anything to have to control disease. So I like that element about mameys. The frustrating thing for people growing them in their yards is they do require extra patience to get fruit production from, and maybe a little more nutritional care.
Sure. So from the time this went in the ground, what size did this go in the ground?
I want to say it was a 7-gallon tree when we planted it, but I'm not 100% sure. Mameys are one of the species where I actually, if you can get a larger size, it's probably to your benefit. It's not like with the mango where almost all the mangoes we planted were like 1 or 3 gallons. With the mameys, if that's all we could get, then that's what we got. But I would steer people towards larger ones where possible, because they do take a pretty long time to start bearing fruit from the graft. So, but I think it was probably a 7-gallon size tree when we.
And how long, why'd you put it in the ground so soon? So you said you had some amazing pots. How long could you keep them in the pots? Like, is it better to keep them in as long as possible? Or
No, I don't think so. I think you're better off getting them in the ground, but just realize that they're going to require more applications of fertilizer for a longer period of time than a mango or some of the other easy trees. Like, some of the other Potaria species are easier, like sapodillas, for example, don't require as intensive care as the mameys do. So
if you don't prune a mamey or you don't prune a good sized mango, what will grow bigger?
What will grow bigger? I'm not 100% sure on that. I think they're comparable. I know there's mamey trees down in Central America that get over 100 feet tall. It's rare to see mangoes get that tall, but there are some in places like Hawaii and places that don't see like hurricanes or freezes that can get over 100 feet tall. It's comparable. Maybe the mameys can get a little bigger because they usually have longer internodes and their growth flushes tend to be longer than most mangoes. But it's hard to say. So comparable. They can both get huge. And both species have examples that grow much slower and wider than is typical for the species too. So this is an example of a smaller mamey, but there's others too that are kind of compact and low instead of all lanky and vertical oriented. So.
Very cool. Do you sell this tree here?
No. I would say if you want one of these, probably you got to get it from Julian Lara.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to, but I'd recommend it.
I'll put a link below the video to Julian's farm.
But someday we will be producing them. We just need more fruit production from our mameys so that we have rootstock. So, but I know Julian grafts this.
Lara Farms has the trees, but he also has the fruit for sale in season as well.
Yeah, he has enough fruit to sell. So I don't have enough mamey to sell. I have to keep my mamey to plant the seeds for rootstock. So, and I don't have as many mamey trees as he does anyway. So we've got like one of each, So.
Well, thanks for showing us your mamey tree here.
Yep.
And talking about it. Everyone, check out the link for this farm here, Tropical Acres Farms, and also if you want to get this tree, I'll put Lara Farms link below, and Julian can help you out.
We do sell the budwood, so I'll mention that. We sell mamey budwood pretty much throughout the year. So if you're interested in grafting them, you can get the scions from us. You just have to do it on our website. There's a form for doing it, or you can reach out to us. So.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to go and show you my yard. All right. Thank you, Alex, for showing us around at Tropical Acres Farms and your Viejo mamey tree. It's a mango farm, so I say mango. But thank you for showing us around to your mamey tree. Behind me, I'm still in my neighbor's yard here. This is a Lorito. Some people say Lorita. It's a Lorito mamey. And I think this one is supposed to be one of the better tasting ones, and not that they don't all taste great. They all taste amazing, but some taste better than the others. My neighbor happens to have one of these, and I happen to have one of these as well. and I'll show you that. But this one has some fruit going on. I'm going to turn the camera around and show you, but I want to show you this here. I just looked up online mameys, and this is a website here. I don't even know. It's Growables, Grow Flower Edibles, and it talks about the different mameys. So it talks about the Viejo, and it says it's December is the season. So we know it's January now, and there's still some. So December, January, excellent flavor, and it's a deep red in flesh. Now, as Alex told you, the fruit is on the smaller side for a mamey, but it's a good it's good for all different areas. It grows well here, and it's pretty popular. So we also have here on the Lorito. The Lorito is July and August, and it's an excellent flavor. And there's the size. It says unknown, so it doesn't say how tall or how short it may be. Then we'll look at some of my trees. I have the Key West, the Plantain, and then we're going to talk about the Magana. So let's turn the camera around and look at some of my neighbor's trees before we head over to my yard. Okay, this is my neighbor's Viejo tree. It's much bigger than the one Alex had at Tropical Acres. Much taller and wider. I think it's about the same age, actually. And there's some fruit right there. And he's cut this back. It was even wider. So this tree takes up a lot of space. It's very spreading. It's not as tall. Even though he's cut it, the cut top. But it's very spreading. So it's a very spreading tree. So that's the Viejo. I'm going to turn around here and walk over to my neighbor's Lorito tree. And there's a bunch of fruits flowering on there. Now those fruits won't be ready until next year, or at least later this year in the summertime. But you can see all the different fruits on here. And this is much taller than the Viejo. And not as wide, but taller. But this is supposed to be the best tasting, or one of the best tasting mameys out there. So an advantage of the Viejo is the season, but the advantage of this is how great it tastes. All right? And my neighbor also has some other mamey trees that aren't fruiting yet. So this one here, he doesn't even know the variety of this one. He says it might be a graft of one of his other trees. He wasn't sure. So, but that one is tremendous amount of fruit on there right now. And then we're gonna go in the front. He has two more seedlings here, and then we'll go over to my yard. Okay, here's another one that he put in. This one more recently he put in. And I don't know what variety this is. This might even be a seedling that he plans on grafting onto. So that's a much smaller tree, and it looks big. Like Alex was saying, a mango tree, you're going to get mangoes within maybe 2 years, 3 years. This one, a lot longer. So now I'm going to go check out my trees in my yard. Okay, everybody, this one is, I cut this back a lot. This one's called Plantain, also known as Key West. And this tree is massive. And I cut it back. We're going to go look at another neighborhood tree that's very old and tall, but this tree is massive, and I think I've only got one fruit off this so far, but look at that. It looks like we're going to have a lot of fruit here in the future. So this tree is looking great, and we see some fruit. Now this fruit, there's this year's fruit, maybe this summer's fruit, and then there's other fruit that might be another summer. Now a good amount of these might drop on the floor, or have dropped on the floor, but I cut this back, but it grows, it just keeps growing, even cutting it back. So I put this in the front of the house. Technically, this would have been beautiful if it was the only tree in the front. I have it really close to some other trees. So we'll see if that creates a problem or not. But that is a Plantain in the Key West. And that's in my front yard. Now I have some trees in pots here. So we're going to turn around here. This one is my magana, tree here. And this is the most popular commercial one. There's Key West and there's this one. And this one's in a pot here. I would love to have all these on the ground. I just don't have room, and I'm most likely going to be selling this one. This magana tree. So we'll see. Okay. And you can get trees, though, again, from Laura Farms. He could send you whatever variety you want. But it's just in looking at the list of the different ones, I think I'm going to keep my pace and sell this. So let's go in the back and check out what else I got growing on for the mamey. All right. So here's my Loretta tree. You can see it's growing nice and tall and skinny, which I like. And it certainly has enough room to grow. I left a lot of room between trees on this side, at least on one side. But it's loaded with flowers right now. And last year I tasted my first one off this tree, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Check that out. I've tasted a lot of mameys. This one was one of the best ones I've had. Maybe I'm biased to it because it was for my tree, but this one is growing really nice. It's tall and skinny. That's the Lorito. Now, this was the one I got confused. I thought it was a Viejo, but it was a Lorito. So, and then the last thing I have here is I have these in the pots, and I'm waiting to put these in the ground. These are Pace. And Pace is from Laura Farms, and I got 2 of them in pots. So I'll get those in the ground at some point. According to my list here, just to go through these, the Pace is March and April, where the Bentane is July and August. So it's still technically a different season. They're just not a completely different season like a winter one like the Viejo. So now I have one more. Well, I have 2 trees of one more in the ground. I just realized how many of these mamey trees I have. But let me turn the camera around and show you this. This one is the newest popular varieties out. This one's called a pumpkin one, and this one's supposed to be a dwarf. I haven't received any mangoes on this one or mameys on this one yet, but the tree's looking nice, and I'm excited for that. And then I have one more pumpkin mamey here, and this one I had in the other yard, and I didn't know enough, and all the leaves fell off. But I realized the leaves fall off anyway, but I didn't know, so I took it out and moved it to try to save it. Well, the leaves would have fell off anyway, but this is another pumpkin mamey I have here. And this one is more of a summer one when it becomes ripe in the summertime. I checked with my friend at D's Fruit Trees, and he has one that fruited, and he said the summertime. So that's looking really nice as well, and that's a dwarf one. All right, thanks for checking out my yard, my neighbor's yard, and Tropical Acres Farms. All the links are below the video. All right, everybody, that was the take on mamey. You guys, if you're going to get a mamey tree, make sure you get a variety that suits your needs. Some are smaller, some grow taller, and consider the season in mind as well. I don't have a Viejo, and I kind of wish I did, because I got 2 trees that are the same season, so that's not the smartest way to plant. However, we got to figure it out and do what we got to do. So I don't know if I'm going to get one of those or not. I'm going to think about that because I really don't have much room. But put your comments and questions below. Again, if you want to taste the Viejo variety now, and then some of these other varieties too, contact Laura Farms Miami. I'll put the link below, and you can order them in the mail, the actual fruit. If you want to get trees, you can go there as well. And if you want budwood, you can go to Alex at Tropical Acres Farms. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And put your comments below. Until then, everybody, thank you for making this channel fruitful. Have a great day and keep growing.